Hello, you're listening to Storytelling Saga, the podcast that shares stories. I'm your host, Allie, and this week I'm discussing The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry, which was first published in the New York Sunday World newspaper on December 10th, 1905, and then it was published in the O. Henry anthology, The 4 Million, in April 1906. And O. Henry was his pen name. His real name is William Sidney Porter. And I first read this short story for my English class when I was a freshman in high school. And I was already familiar with the story, since this is one of those stories that has been retold and adapted and parodied so many times. I know a popular one is, of course, the Disney version in Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. And there are a few stories in that, but one of them is with the retelling of Gift of the Magi with Mickey and Minnie, and that one's really cute. And there's actually also, I remember, an episode of Cat Dog on Nickelodeon that has a similar premise with the two of them buying each other gifts for Brother's Day, because that's the thing. But it's just funny, though, how watching that stuff as a kid, and then years later, when you finally read the story that originated it. So this is just one of those timeless stories, and what's funny is rereading it now, first off, I didn't remember how extremely short this story is. It's just a really quick, simple, lovely little story. And also what's interesting is I actually found 2 different versions of it online, and it's the same plot and everything, but just some of the language is different in each of the stories. So that was just kind of jarring to me. I didn't know, I don't know which one is the original, which one is the updated, edited version. So it's just interesting actually reading the same story just with slightly modified language here and there. But the premise can just be summed up as a married couple each sells their most prized possessions to buy each other Christmas gifts. And we meet Della, who only has $1.87, and Christmas is tomorrow, and she wants to buy her husband a present. And her husband is James Dillingham Young. So that right there already, that's a little on the nose, that they're a young couple, their last name is Young, but they live in poverty, and she wants to buy him something special. So then she decides to sell her most prized possession, which is her hair. Her long, beautiful hair. So she goes to the hairdresser, who buys her hair for $20. And then with that money, she buys her husband a chain for his pocket watch, which is his most prized possession. This watch that has been passed down from his father and his grandfather. So she ends up spending $21 on it. So she even had to use her own money still to buy it, in addition to the $20 that she had just gotten for her hair. And then she's nervous, though, about how he's going to react when he sees her with her short hair. And then when he walks in, and it's interesting, though, actually, that the narrator mentions how he's so young, he's only 22 years old, and he has a family to provide for. But there's no mention of any kids, just the 2 of them, so there's just a young couple, so perhaps newlyweds, but they live in poverty, they don't have much, they live in a small apartment. So her looking in the mirror with her long hair, and then when she goes to cut it, so then she fixes up her hair as best she can, and then when her husband walks in and he has this look on his face that she can't read, and she's so nervous and saying, "Oh, Jim, don't worry, my hair will grow back so quickly," and then she explains why she cut her hair. And then he says, "Well, if you open the present I got for you, you'll see why I reacted this way." So then when she opens the present he got for her, she sees that it's these beautiful combs. So there's already the irony, but there are these lovely jeweled combs, and she's so happy and grateful, though. She's saying, "Oh, Jim, I love them, and how my hair grows so quickly, you'll see," so that in time she'll be able to use the combs, even though presently, since she has such short hair, that it's okay that her hair will grow back and then she'll be able to use the combs. But then she says, "Oh, Jim, don't you love it," when she gives him her present. And of course, it's the irony there when he says that let's just go have dinner and put our gifts away for another time. And he just tells her that I sold the pocket watch to buy you the combs. So there's the irony of them buying each other something that they could use, but then now they can't use it because they sold what was most important to them, her hair and his pocket watch. And then the narrator ends it with him saying that don't think of them as foolish. They are the Magi, the true Magi. And that is in reference to the biblical Magi, as in the 3 wise men who gave the first Christmas presents of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So it's just a lovely, powerful, and moving little story about giving up what most mattered to them. And then that's the true happiness. And then also the narrator compares, $8 a week versus $1 million a week. What's the difference? Because if you have love, and obviously they love each other so much that they made these ultimate sacrifices to give each other beautiful gifts, that's all that matters. So that true selflessness and generosity and love and care. So that's truly wonderful. So it really is such a sweet little story. But it's odd to me, though, because at one point the narrator mentions how, with Jim saying, this poor man, he's only 22 years old and he needs a new coat and he has no gloves. So then that made me think, well, then why didn't she buy him hat and gloves, like things they could have used? But really, though, that's the point of the story, that because she sold her hair and she had that intent of buying him something, because since they are in poverty, that they're barely getting by with the money that he makes, that it wasn't about the practicality. It was about just for a moment feeling like having all this money to buy something extravagant. So that was the whole point. So then it's just the irony that they can't use the gifts. But really, with her, her hair will grow back, as she says, Della, so she'll be able to use her combs eventually. But then I have to wonder that maybe at some point she'll sell the combs to get back the pocket watch. That just made me wonder at some point, after her hair grows back, say she'll sell the combs and try to get him a new pocket watch or something like that. Because just showing him how much she loves him. So it's just, again, just so sweet and just really a nice, quick little read. So you could find the 2 versions online and just see the different language. It's just interesting. I guess it was updated maybe for his anthology, or maybe it was updated years later. I don't even know. Because some of the language in the other version I read was a little more anachronistic, archaic, whatever word you want to use, since this was obviously so long ago, 1905. But again, with these really old stories, that it's timeless and told so many times over and over, because the message is so clear, so simple yet so moving, of giving up your prized possessions, and that it doesn't matter about not having monetary wealth. It matters about having wealth in love and health and happiness. That's what really matters. So embodying all of that in the true meaning of Christmas. And with that is going to conclude this week's episode of Storytelling Saga. You can follow the podcast on Facebook and Instagram at Storytelling Saga, as well as on Twitter at Storytell Saga. You can also send me any questions, comments, or writing prompts by leaving me a message in the contact section of storytellingsaga.com, or by sending me an email at storytellingsaga@gmail.com. Next week, happy birthday! I'll be discussing Frosty the Snowman. Until then, thank you for listening, and remember, write what you love.